All right, y'all, this is Patton. This is our 1984 GMC General. Patton has a 3406B that's at about 500 horsepower, maybe, with the 13-speed Hendricks rears, 410 gear. The motor is pretty fresh, as in 10,000 miles or so fresh. It's pretty nice. Got it in. I bought it. Had my eye on it for a long time. Got it in. This is the front driver's side axle. As you can see, I don't know what happened. I'm not going to say what happened. I think that the bearing walked off and it caused the axle some hardcore stuff, but y'all can see that ruined some bearings. Main thing that it did is it tore up the spindle pretty bad. I had to cut with my Catawba blades. I had to take my skill saw and put one of those Diablo blades in it, and I had to go like this, and then I had to groove that back so I could get a shelf to get started. And then I spent about 3 hours of actual time with a wrench style thread chaser that Gene had. And I just sat here and I would go one way and then I would go the other way. I would go from the front to the back. I would go to the back to the front. Using a file is useless, y'all, on this stuff. I always hear, oh, take a small triangle file, and I know, but that's 10 to 12 hours worth of work for something that nobody knows is going to work or not. So that threader, I was able to get this back to a spot. Now, all these axles were the old style. They were let me see if I can find one laying around here. I see it. A 2-nut with a clamp in the middle. This is the nut that came out of that side over there. And the other, the inner or the outer was broke, and the actual washer was gone. New style. Come here and look at this, Suze. Let me grab okay, I got it. All right, new style. This is awesome. Okay, so you line up with your groove. Your socket goes on, collapses.
What is this?
This is the new spindle nut that I got from Ramey's, and it is a one-stop shop. It goes on in the groove, and then you have to, sorry guys, I'm working on the wrong one here. Let's do this. That one I have to go over. Goes on in the groove, and then the socket has to collapse those edges. When you tighten it down to the certain point, you let it go, and then the nipple springs back into these holes, and it locks it in place. I thought that was I've seen the ones that have the spline, the yellow spline on the inside, but that right there looks a whole lot beefier than those did. And I just feel like this is going to be a whole lot more stouter than those little wire lockout clips.
So you're showing everybody this truck to show them that it was not running, and now you're taking it apart and putting it back together? It
wasn't running. I mean, that right there, that axle broken off, that's major. I have pulled the diff, checked the diff fluid. It didn't seem to have any metal in it. Everything I felt like that was a little bit in there would have come from the end of that, because it was pretty darn beat up. That axle was just in there free spinning and beating up the end of that tube for a couple miles. I think that Logan said that they had to drive it for like 3 or 4 miles after it happened unloaded. So fixing that, that's the fix for that. Got to the other thing. I was gonna rerun all these hubs, Dayton styles. You have to put on a rim, then you have to put on a spacer, and then you have to put on another rim, and then you have a shim or a wedge nut style to go on there. I got it off and was getting all excited about everything going back together, and then I said, okay, I'm gonna go over these hubs. I'm gonna do a little bit of knocking the burrs off, freshening these up, and man, 2 of these hubs have just been ruined before. This one I can see where they tried to put brass, it looks like, on it or something. I don't know what they tried to do here to build it back up, but a couple of these spokes have folded over in the back. I need to get 2 new hubs. They're $250 a piece, so I'm not worried about it. And that way I'll have 4 really good hubs with all new races, bearings, seals, brand new axle. Another Ramey's. Not bad. Not bad at all. And yes, all driver side are always longer than the passenger side on the Hendricks rear or any of the Rockwell axles. So everybody's looking at that.
Okay.
Other than that, hey, keep going. You want me to? No, you don't want to see my 5th wheel plate or my headache rack or none of that stuff? Everybody wants to see that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we could save it for another.
Okay, so I got my tanks off, y'all. I'm gonna start on those. This tank has to come off. Got another tank already. Took a bag in. I think it's got a crack. This tank right here is coming forward to this space, and then our battery box is actually going to go. It's going to be an aluminum welded battery box that's actually going to fit in between our headache rack right here. ProTech headache rack. Dick also had this and this 5th wheel plate. I searched for this with 5th wheel plate for probably 4 months. I had to go through things in actual piles, but I was walking through the woods trying to find this thing, and it did this. And I said, oh my gosh, I've actually found the 5th wheel plate that actually came on that General before it was turned into a dump truck. That's what's the matter with the rear on the frame. Y'all, I had to take an old hitch and everything out from where the dump truck went on, dump body, but I've got all that off. I'll make it right. So a very lightly used Holland plate, a very nice ProTech 5th wheel or headache rack that we'll put our battery box in, and then I found the place online that does these fenders, and they can do these. They can pretty much, they have all the molds for all the fiberglass that you could ever want. This one fender is $550 though. So, and then it's like another $500 to ship with the insurance that I would want to get on it because it is fiberglass being shipped. It's kind of big. So I don't know, maybe 2 fenders in a trip, maybe drive to Illinois and get that hood. If my wife would take me there, I'd like to do that. Make it a weekend trip, film it. But other than that, that's where we're at. I'll get that. I'll get the hubs put back on and get all the tires and wheels and brand new stuff painted, brand new tires. And then I'll show you guys a new, where I'm at. Where do you want to see where I'm at? When I get everything painted and ready to go back on, or after it's on?
We can do like.
I'll get everything painted and laid out, you guys, and all the parts ready to go back on, and then I'll do an assembly day, and we'll go from how I think that I like to do all the trucks. It's kind of, we're going to just go from right here behind the cab, and we're going to try and do as best we can with getting all this back here refurbished and back to standard, not new. And then we're going to flip this baby around, and then we'll work on getting the doodads done to the cab. I don't know about the new fender. I may patch the old fender and put some metal on it or something, and just us have to run it, do what we got to do. It needs to be a log truck by the middle of the summer, so, or sooner. It needed to be a log truck yesterday, didn't it? Yeah. Over and out.